So, Dr. Ramachandran made some quite interesting points in his videos, and I'm sure I've seen them sometime in the past. Sometimes I refresh my memory on these videos, but anyway, he's talking about some tests that they did, some empirical testing that had to do with the galvanic skin response. Apparently, they test some kind of skin response to different things like sexual imagery, religious icons, violence, violent images, etc. And that people with temporal lobe seizures do not respond that high to the sexual, there's not that high of a spike in the sexual imagery, but there's a high spike in the religious icons. So their research came out, long time before my videos. People have been saying these kind of things. So, I was kind of aware of that already, that people look at people like me, in a way that if you start talking in an emotional fashion, automatically, it has to be your mental disorder. So if you start talking about God, automatically it has to be your mental disorder. And if there's some kind of activity in the brain, automatically it has to be a mental disorder and not caused by some kind of foreign interaction. Okay, when you have a religious experience, wouldn't you expect it to show in the MRIs and the EEGs? For example, when Moses received the Ten Commandments, what do you think his brain activity was looking like? But for the sake of argument, let's say you don't believe in religion, and you side with what psychiatry and science is, implicating. It's not just my inference. That's literally what they're saying and implicating, is that most of the prophets have a mental disorder, according to them, and it makes it so they feel like they're having a religious experience, and they feel they know the true meaning of life and things along these lines. That's what his main point was in the videos I've seen about temporal lobe seizures. And the terminology, grand mal seizures, the tonic-clonic seizures, I talk about them in my original Psychiatry is a Fraud series. A lot of these terms, they're old terms. I prefer to put it in layman's terms for everybody than using the technical terms. Now, my response to it in less than 2 minutes, because I want to keep this under 5 minutes. Well, the testing is interesting, but all we're showing is personality types. In this kind of personality, this type of personality, a person with this personality is gonna act a certain way when he's in a certain environment, and part of that environment, the most important part of that environment is what he sees and perceives and what he focuses on in the environment. Everything else is part of it too, but that's the most important part. And so in the test, all the test shows is that these personality types take interest in these sorts of things. And so that doesn't go against my theory, but it shows me that the trajectory of science is either going to prove my theory to be true or disprove it. And I probably will never live to see it. And that's kind of disturbing to me, But it's okay. So anyway, going back to the things he was saying, I don't disagree. Like I always say, I don't disagree with the symptoms. The symptoms are either real symptoms or perceived symptoms. I disagree with the root cause. I don't think it's a chemical imbalance. I think it has more to do with psychological distress, and you're seeing that distress play out in the mind. But to them, that's unfathomable. They can't imagine how somebody like me could be right. When I just, my minor was sociology, political science, not psychiatry, not psychology, but the things I studied have to do with these things, So my understanding, is there, but it's not the same understanding as they have. So it's hard to kind of believe and to swallow that someone like me figured it out, but not somebody who specializes in it. Even for me, that's one of the things that worries me, when I explain what's going on. And I say that I'm a prophet is because I feel, when he describes how they feel, it's almost exactly how I feel, but that doesn't mean anything, because that's how somebody who's a religious zealot or somebody who's devout in their religion is going to feel. Somebody who doesn't really care about religion, their average Joe, who's not really a passionate person, when he sees the symbols that have to do with passion and deep spirituality, they're not going to get excited. And also, it could be encoded in our DNA to respond to certain symbols. There's the key and the door. Thank you.